Hey, y'all. It is Monday and I'm not late because due to some scheduling conflicts and changes in life and just having to go with the flow, I am now going to have to go live at 7:30 instead of 7 o'clock. And so this is going to be my new time, 7:30. So I'm not late, even though some of you may have thought I was going to be late, but I did put it out there that tonight's broadcast and moving forward is going to be at 7:30. And that's fine, right? Life happens and we just got to keep chugging along and, whatever it is, it is. But what I wasn't going to do is quit. I just made adjustments. So hopefully y'all can adjust with me. And I appreciate it so much because things do change, but we need change in order for there to be growth. And so I embrace change and I don't mind having to pivot a time or two. So glad to see y'all. Happy Monday. I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. I know I did. Absolutely no complaints. It was so awesome to be able to be at the Fort Worth Metropolitan Black Chamber of Commerce 40th annual luncheon. It was awesome. We had Dr. Case Lawal come and speak with us about the importance of a banking relationship in the African American community. I was privileged with the honor of delivering the welcome and being able to speak on and recognize some of our distinguished and special guests. So it was just great. And, just kind of had a relaxing, fun weekend. And so I hope you all did as well. So today we are going to be talking about the topic of, are you settling? And it's time for you to give up on good and push up on great. And that is something that I think is extremely important to recognize in ourselves and kind of call ourselves out when we see ourselves settling for good. Hey, Jody, so good to see you. Thank you for tuning in and hitting me with that comment, and be sure to hit me with that hashtag lifer, sis. Hey, Sammy, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you so much. So we are talking about giving up on good and pushing up on great, because I think what happens in our lives a lot of times is we want things and we aspire to do certain things and we have certain goals, but then life happens and things get tough and we kind of settle for good. And to me, the only time good is when we're talking about how good God is, because God is a good God and that is wonderful. And I reserve that word in greatness for him. But in my day-to-day life, good doesn't have that same oomph as it does when we're talking about a good God. I want greatness in my life. And so I think what happens though is when things have been bad, right? And so we've been maybe in a slump, maybe gone through some hard times in our life, we look for the good because it's so bad at that time. And so our goal is good. And then we get to the good and kind of stop. And then we don't feel fulfilled and we don't feel excited about things because they're just good. But we convince ourselves that it's good enough. And we prohibit ourselves or stifle ourselves for going for great. Because once you get past good, see, good is just expected. I expect things to be good. I expect to be in a good relationship. Like, I'm not going to be in an awful relationship where I'm being treated poorly. At least I would hope that we're not. I'm not going to stay at an awful job who only pays me less than half of what I'm worth. No, I want a good job. And so we get that good job, or we're in that good relationship and we feel like that's all there is. And then we wonder why we're not feeling fulfilled. And it's because we didn't push past the good to the great. And see, great is going to take a little bit more work. Great is going to take a little bit more effort. Great is going to take some more patience. And so it good becomes a little bit more attractive when you don't really feel like putting in the work, when you don't really feel like putting in the effort. And the way that pertains in a relationship or a marriage, because I don't want people thinking that I'm saying if your marriage or your relationship is just good, you need to leave and go find another one. No, you figure out how you make that relationship go from good to great. Because again, good is how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to have a good relationship. You're supposed to have a good job. Good is just, it's good. It's mediocre. But we have to find out how to make it great. And so when it pertains to a relationship, a romantic relationship, things are good when you guys aren't fighting all the time, when, you're being able to maintain a household. That's good when, nobody is doing anything that they shouldn't be doing. There's no secrets. That's good. But good can sometimes turn boring. And so the way that you make it great is by doing things a little different than you always do them. Switching things up a little bit, communicating with each other more, going to your spouse and saying, you know what, I think we have a really good marriage. What we have going on here is good, but I feel like the two of us together, it could be great. What is it that we can do to make it great? What is something that we can work on together? What is something that we can do a little different than we've done to make our relationship great? And the way that you make a relationship great is by really tapping into one another's interests and desires and being able to really focus on the other person. That's how you make it great. When you put yourself aside and your key focus is on making that other person great, by making them feel great, by doing things for them to let them know that you think that they're great. That's what takes things to the next level. Oh, thank you, Jody. Thank you so much. Oh, that's so sweet. And I needed to hear that today because I'm sitting around here in my little moo and my little cornrows. So thank you. I appreciate that because I'm feeling like I'm a hot heated mess, like I shouldn't even got on here today. So I appreciate you, sis. But that's how you make things great in a relationship, by pouring into that other person and making them feel great and doing those little special things. When it comes to our life and our career, a lot of times our original goal was to be here and it didn't seem like we were going to do it. And then once we got to a point where we were comfortable, then we kind of stopped because we feel like, you know what, it's good. I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to put anything else on my plate. But we can be missing out on so much by not wanting to put the effort into the greatness. Yes, it's going to take some time. It's going to take some work, but it is so worthwhile. I'm telling y'all, I lived in good for a long time and good was good. But I got to a place where I wanted something more and I had to do some more work. And that's when you have to wonder, is your happiness, is your fulfillment worth the sacrifice? Because in order to go from good to great, and it might sound crazy, but you have to give up some things. In order to get the abundance of life, to get the more of life, to get the great of life, you have to give up some things. You might not be able to just have that lazy Sunday to sit and watch Married to Medicine reruns, or what do they call it? Binge watch. You might not have the time to just hang out with friends all the time or whatever, because we're talking about great. So we might have to cut out some things, but guess what? When you go to greatness, once you get there, you'll have more time. You'll have more energy, because that's what great does. Great creates space for you to live the life that you desire to live. You just have to be willing to do the work to get there. When you're in a relationship and you're trying to take that relationship from good to great, you might have to have a couple of tough conversations. You might need to be honest about some things that you were avoiding talking about. You might have to make some changes in how you communicate with your spouse if you really want to go from good to great. And so It may get uncomfortable sometimes, but you have to think about it once again. Is your happiness, is your well-being, is your healthy mindset worth the sacrifice? Is it worth the tough times? When you think about, we're now in the Olympic trials and we're in this Olympic season, and there is no doubt that each and every person who is competing is good. Of course they're good. If they weren't good, they wouldn't have the opportunity to compete, to even have a place in the Olympics. But what's happening is we have the trials, and so all the good are there, but only the great are going to move to the next level. And so that's when you have to think about what separates the good from the great. And a thing that we do to kind of make ourselves more comfortable with the good is we say, well, the great, that's only the top 2%. That's not meant for everybody. Well, everybody can't do that. Yeah, they're great, but that's only a 1 in a million chance. Not many people. And we talk ourselves out of the great. But what we're really saying is, I don't want to do that kind of work, because that's what separates the good for the great. I don't have that kind of time. That's what separates the good from the great. The great are getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and working on that thing that they're passionate about. The great is taking that time to write the handwritten note to their husband or their wife to let them know how much they love them. The great are doing those extra things and making those sacrifices to push past the good. It's not that the great necessarily just were born with something that the rest of us don't have. It's not necessarily just because this marriage or this relationship is great. It's because it was just destined to be that way and they were just going to have a wonderful marriage no matter what. No, what separates the good from the great is the work and the effort and the sacrifice that's put into it. And so again, it may seem crazy because I'm talking about going from good to great, but then there's all these things that seem uncomfortable and sticky and I don't want to deal with it in the middle, but that's what it's all about. And when you put in the work, when you put in the time, when you make the sacrifice, that's what makes it feel even better, because a lot of times we can just fall into good because good is ordinary. Good is what's expected. And so you can very easily just slip and fall into good. You can very easily just lackadaisically get into good because that's the norm. Good is what is expected. Great is what is achieved. And y'all can write that down if you want. Good is what is expected. Great is what is achieved. Because one thing for me, even as a kid, that I didn't really like, or it wasn't a big deal for me, is when I did things and I really put a lot of effort into it, for someone to tell me, oh, that was a good job. That was not a compliment to me. If someone were to ask my husband, what kind of marriage do you have? And he says, we have a good marriage. And you see how I even said it that way. Good. You say it that way a lot of times. If you ask somebody, how do you feel in your career? I have a pretty good job. To me, that whole tone is shouting, I'm settling. I'm settling. It's okay. It's just enough. I have a good marriage. I have a good job. But when you make the sacrifice and put the time and the effort into going from good to great, you can't even say whatever is great without some excitement in your voice. Who's going to say, I got a great marriage? You're not going to say it that way. It comes with a whole new different oomph. I have a great marriage. I have a great job. I love my job. I can't stop talking about my job. My business is thriving. It is great. Great just gives you that extra oomph, that extra energy, where you can't even talk about something that's great without having a smile on your face. So would you rather be talking about great or it's good? Because good can be substituted with all kinds of things like, it's all right. It's okay. What comes after good a lot of times too? It's good enough. That's like, I'm getting by. I'm settling. And so my challenge to all of you who are watching and hanging out with me this evening, think about what areas in your life that are good and develop a plan to make them great. Commit to making the sacrifice to be great. Settling is never okay, no matter whether it's settling in relationship, settling in career, settling in education. There is always a way for it to go from good to great. There is never a reason to settle in any aspect of your life because you were created for greatness. You were created for abundance. You weren't created for good. Good is not good enough. Good means you're settling. Good means things could be better. Do you want to go to a doctor and he just tell you you're good? Or do you want him to say you're great? You're in excellent health. Couldn't be better. In my mind, good means things cannot be good real fast. See, I need a cushion because see, life is going to happen. In a relationship, we're going to have trials and tribulations. In a career, ebbs and flows, things are going to go up and down. And if I'm only sitting at good, that means when something does happen, when the bottom does fall out, I'm only this far from bad. I'm only this far from done. I need to be living at greatness. I need to always be achieving greatness. So that way, when things do happen, and they will, that means I might have to settle for good for a little while till I get back to great, but I'm never going to go all the way down to bad. I'm never going to go all the way down to I'm done, can't do it. You see what I'm saying? So you want to keep yourself at your highest self. You want to constantly challenge yourself to be a better wife, a better mother, a better girlfriend, a better business person, your relationship to be better. You never want to settle. You never want to get complacent because it's not a far drop for it to go to bad. It's not a far drop for it just to go to I'm done, kaput, can't do it, not repaired. So you want to keep yourself at a level where you make room for life, because life is going to happen. But if you're always operating at your highest self, if you're always challenging yourself, if you're always setting goals for yourself, if you're always trying to do better, if you're always giving it your best effort, if you're always willing to sacrifice for the greater good, and that's the thing, the greater good, that's what we want, then that means when things do happen, we're up here. We're not going to drop all the way down there. And when you're operating in that way, then you have that mindset as well, where you have a positive mindset. You have a mindset of push through, push up to. You don't have a mindset of failure. You don't have a mindset to give up. But good, that's right on that line. Good means I can give up at any time. Good means I'm not really that committed to it. I can let go of good. I can get more good. But when you get great, you want to hold on to that with everything you have. That is a priority for you. You've worked for it, and you're not going to let anything or anyone take it away. And you're going to put the effort into it, and you're going to sacrifice whatever you have to sacrifice in order to keep that great. And that's why I want us always to be achieving greatness. In relationships, the reason why a lot of relationships fail is because the relationship got good. It was good, and people become complacent, and then they get bored, and then they feel like they can't find greatness there anymore because it's been good for so long. That's why in a relationship, you always have to be dating. You always have to be engaging with one another. You always have to be interested in one another. You have to keep the lines of communication open at all times. You have to share with one another. If you are in a relationship and you get to the point where you feel complacent and it's just good, you need to be able to feel like you can share that with your significant other so that you can work on it together. You don't just keep that to yourselves, because in relationships, we don't always feel the same at the same time. We have different needs. We have different goals. The way we feel about things emotionally and the way things affect us, it's not always going to be the same. And that's why you have to have open and honest communication, because maybe at the time where you're just feeling good, your spouse may be feeling great. And so you need to articulate that to them. Like, this is how I'm feeling. I'm feeling like we've kind of hit a slump in the marriage. And they might be like, well, I'm feeling more in love than ever. So let's do this, this, and this. Let's talk about that. What is it that you're not getting? What would you like to see happen? Those are the things that keep you great. So even though in that conversation, it may have felt a little uncomfortable, it may have seemed like it was a road you didn't want to go down, but look at the positive that comes out of having that type of dialogue instead of just sitting in that yourself and just settling. You have to be able to communicate when you're feeling some kind of way in your job, in your career, in your business. See, what is the next level? What is it that I can be doing to feel more fulfilled? Maybe I need to apply for a promotion. Maybe I got too comfortable in this position. Maybe it's time for me to change careers. Maybe it's time for me to change to a different company. Whatever it is, if it's your own business, and it just seems like you've hit a plateau. Maybe it's time to add another dimension to your business. Maybe it's time to do something a little different. Maybe it's time to relaunch. There's always something that you can be doing that will help you achieve greatness, because in the midst of achieving greatness, you're going to feel great. When you are working towards a goal, whether it's in a relationship, business, whatever, it gives you a feeling of satisfaction and motivation. It gives you that reason to want to get up the next day and try it, because you are actually working towards something, and it feels so good to be working towards something. And it's working towards something is a lot of work. And when you've done that for a long time, sometimes you feel like, I'm good, I just want to chill for a while. But then you realize, you know what? That was a lot of work, but it was exhilarating. It was fun. I don't like the complacency of just being good. And so you have to challenge yourself to always be looking forward, always look for what else is out there for you, because there is greatness. And in anything you're doing, any relationship you're in, whatever it is, there's always greatness. There's always a next level. There's always something to inspire to. There's always something new to achieve. And I just want to encourage us to do that, because as much as we want comfort, it's that discomfort a lot of times that gets us to the next level. It's that discomfort that we allow ourselves to feel sometimes that elevates us to a place far beyond anything that we ever could have imagined. And so sometimes you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because the end result is so worth it. And that's what I want you to ask yourself in life. Is my happiness worth being uncomfortable for a little while? Is my mental health worth being uncomfortable for a little while? And I bet you your answer is going to be yes. And so I just wanted to jump on and just talk about that real quick today. Also to let you guys know that the time was going to be changing. So I need you to mark your calendars. And I just appreciate you all so much for just sticking in there with me through the different changes, because I'm always striving for greatness. And in striving for greatness, sometimes you have to make some changes. Sometimes things happen. I can't expect everything I want just to fall in line in my timing. But what I have to do is be ready, available, and present for when the opportunity does present itself. I'm ready to make that switch, because I know what's coming next is greatness. Before I let you guys go, I want to talk to you once again about the opportunity to work with me one-on-one. I just met with 2 of my wonderful coaching clients today, and it is always exciting every single week to see their progress and to watch them grow. And I learn a lot from them as well. I don't know if they realize it, but as much as I am there to coach them, I learn a lot from them, and I am inspired by them. And if you are interested in coaching and would like for me to be your coach, you can definitely reach out to me. I do life coaching, LYFE, with Stay. And it is a 6-week program that we start out with. And you can also continue on beyond that. But we do start out with a 6-week program, which is Life with Stay. And so if you are life coaching with Stay, and if you are interested in working with me, you can hit me up in my inbox. You can also go to my website, which is www.stayhall.com. And I'm going to put that up there for you. And you can reach out to me that way. There is a way to send me a message. and I would love to be your life coach. There is a lot that comes from having a coach. I have my personal coach as well. Even though I'm the coach has a coach, but there's a lot that come with the coach. It helps you with your accountability. It helps you be able to see beyond any roadblocks. Coaching helps you be able to achieve those goals that you set for yourself. It gives you someone who will help you structure that in a way to make sure that you are successful. And I get so much joy and pleasure out of coaching and just watching my clients grow and prosper. And I would love to work with any one of you. So again, if you're interested, I do have a couple of slots that will be opening up in August with the Life Coaching with Stay. And my husband Wallace and I as well do couples coaching through the hallway. So whether you're someone who is just interested in individual coaching, or if you are a couple who would like couples coaching, we are available for that as well. And the same with the couples coaching. It does start with a 6-week program, and we can extend it past that if you would like to continue working with us. So definitely hit me up in my inbox or go to www.stayhall.com and send me a message that way, and I can get you further details on how you can start life coaching with Stay. Also, if you guys can please follow me on all social media, it's at Stay Hall, and that's on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, all the whatevers at Stay Hall. We want to make sure that we grow and expand this Lifer Tribe as big as we possibly can, to reach as many people as we can, to just share our message of hope and inspiration and motivation, because that is definitely what I have been called to do. But I can't do it without each and every one of you. And so I appreciate you all for always tuning in and liking and sharing. And so I just need us to do more of that. Please share the video on your page, tag any friends who you think may be able to draw inspiration or value from what we talked about today. And then be sure to go to all my social media at Stay Hall. And when you go to my YouTube channel, please subscribe and then hit that little notification bell so that you will be alerted whenever new content is uploaded. And so I know that was a mouthful, and I always ask for a lot, but y'all know I love you guys and I appreciate you, and nothing that you do goes unnoticed, because I know this Lifer Tribe would not be a tribe if it was just me. So it takes all of us. I believe that it takes a village for any type of progress. And so I just want you to know that I appreciate you all from the bottom of my heart. Also, I need to remind you guys that I am now a co-host on Hey Sis, and Hey Sis does go live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night, 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern. And that is with myself and the wonderful Constance Carter and April Sampay. And every single week we tackle a new topic, normally having something to do with women of color in our age group. We try to talk about the things that are trending and popular and what's going on, and just take a deep dive in some of the different situations and issues we face as African American women. So we will be on live again this Wednesday. It does broadcast live from my page. So if you're here now, you will be able to see us on Wednesday. And so that's another thing that I'm asking y'all to like and share. It was such an honor and a privilege and just so humbling to be asked to join those two dynamic women and be able to talk with them every week. It was just so great to even be offered that opportunity. And now I definitely want to introduce my Lifer Tribe to my Hey Sis crew. And so that is Hey Sis, Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Central. And SIS is an acronym, because you know your girl. And SIS stands for, what does it stand for? Strong Intellectual Sisters. Strong Intellectual Sisters. And we also have a group here on Facebook. And if you would like to join our Facebook group, just look up Hey Sis and join the group. I think Jody, you're already in the group, and a couple of others of you who are already in the group. And so just please share and invite people to that as well. And we will see you on Wednesday with Hey Sis. So that is all that I have for today. I appreciate your time so much. I'm going to log off and go see my husband and get something to eat because I have literally been working and going since 7 o'clock this morning. And I love every single minute of it because I am striving for greatness. But a sister is hungry. And so I think he said he brought me something to eat. So I'm going to go downstairs and partake in that and get my belly full and do some more work. But I love you guys to bits and pieces. And you know, I tell you each and every week, it is so very important to be kind and love one another, but never stop living your life. And that's loving yourself first explicitly. Good night, y'all.